Yeah, I can hear you very well. I'm also all plugged in from here. How's it going? How's your day?
Today is good, thank you. Yeah, it's very quiet in the area because it's the big holiday weekend, of course, and so most people are traveling or
Where,
whatnot.
where are you?
I'm in Brooklyn,
Oh, okay, okay,
in Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
okay.
And where are you? You're in Greece?
I'm in Athens, Greece. Yes, the
Athens. I've heard of it. Yeah.
yeah, it's the Williamsburg of Europe.
Are there a lot of Greek hipsters?
Some, no, not that many actually, not that many.
Oh, okay. No, I imagine not.
But they've been saying that it's the new Berlin somehow. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet, but that's what they say.
Maybe they mean culturally, arts and culture or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think the crisis has brought some art migrants.
Oh yeah, that makes sense too.
Mm-mm-mm.
Right, of course. Luigi Camp. Is it Campi or Campi? How do you pronounce it?
I say Campi, but
Campi.
any pronunciation is.
Well, what does your mother say?
My love.
Good answer. Which is loosely translated from Campi, meaning my love.
Yes, exactly. That's what it means.
Well, I'm glad we were brought together. First of all, where did you grow up? In Italy, or where did you grow up?
Yeah, I'm from Rome, born and raised,
Okay.
and I only went to the States when I was, for film school in my late 20s,
And where was that?
it was in New York, Columbia.
Oh, very good. I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's that place.
That was undergraduate.
No, it was graduate film school. I was
Okay,
already.
that makes more sense, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
Because you would have gone to probably college at or university in Rome,
Yeah.
or at least somewhere in Italy. I've been to Rome a few times. It's been a while, but I've been there. I love the city. The people are wonderful. The food is wonderful. And they've got a few sites I've heard about as
Yes.
well.
Have you seen that Colosseum thing? That old one?
Well, I saw it, but I it looked like it was falling apart. So I'm like, what's the point?
It's completely renewed now.
Oh, good. I mean, I'll come back if they fixed all these ruins. Then I'm willing to come back. If
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant. So you like to live among ruins. It appears.
Well, it's a familiar
Athens?
sight, let's say. Athens is
Right. Yeah.
yeah. Actually Athens is the very center of Athens. Only is the older part, with of course the more ancient part up on top,
Right.
on the Acropolis. But the rest of the city is a bit more of a modern decadence, let's say, because
I see.
most of it was built between the 30s and the 70s. A lot of condominiums, a lot of grey buildings that, unfortunately, with the crisis, are not in tip-top shape. But it definitely has a lot of character, and I really like that, actually.
So what ultimately brought you to Athens? Work
I'm a love
or
migrant.
love?
Yes, I'm a love migrant.
Love.
Originally.
Yeah. Well, that's nice.
Yeah. That's the best.
That's a nice story.
That's the best reason to be a migrant somehow.
Once again, your last name, it makes sense. You're
Yes.
someone's love. I think your name would probably be Amori or something like that. But
Yeah. That's my middle name, as they say.
very good. So wait, now, did you grow up with an appetite for American films? I mean, I understand why, even if you didn't, it makes practical sense if you can work it out to go to a Columbia Film School, or let's say an NYU, or maybe one of the major film schools in America. But were you already?
We had this politician for a few years in Italy called Berlusconi.
Yes,
which
I've heard
you
of him.
might have heard of, and he didn't
Colorful guy.
A colorful guy. He didn't do many great things, but he one of the few let's say good things he did when he owned various things, including TV stations, 3 of the main TV stations, TV channels, and
Yes.
he bought and transmitted for many years a lot of movies from the States. So
Right.
we got a lot of that, And then when I was around 16, I got cable TV, and some channels were all about showing more art films and stuff like that. And I kind of fell in love with that. I still remember the first movie that I watched when I was 16 and that really shocked me was Bruno Dumont's The Life of Jesus.
Right.
That was my initiation, my baptism into weirder films in a way. Quite late.
I see. But you maybe also, in a way, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but being exposed to world cinema, you could understand the Italian cinema in a broader context and how influential Italian cinema is in a different way, you know?
Yes, although...
Did you understand, maybe you understood that already, how important Italian cinema was since the 60s, 50s, what have you?
There's a funny story. Well, you don't really understand the importance. I didn't grow up in a completely cinephile family. We loved movies, but it was mostly, going to the movies or bigger, it's more like moviegoers rather than cinephiles. And so I didn't really grasp until later on the full importance, let's say. But the funny thing is that for a period of my life, for 2 years, when I was 8, Fellini was my next door neighbor.
What?
So as an 8-year-old, yes, it's true. So as an 8-year-old, I rode many an elevator with Federico Fellini.
With the maestro? With
the maestro, who to me was just a kind man, a kind gentleman. Mm-hmm. And that was it. He asked me how's it going, and I said very well, thank you. How was school? It was really nice, thank you. And that was that was my first contact with the maestro.
Had you known, you could have ended up in.
Excuse me.
I said, had you known had you had the foresight of knowing your future career, which is doing fine by anyway, but because he had, so what I heard, he had a very unusual way where he would just see somebody who he gravitated to just by their appearance or maybe and he would cast them, and then he would instruct them down to the to the beat of what to do, and then he would redub it anyway, or dub the dialogue, or He
made them say the numbers sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
He made them just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When
yeah,
they
that's interesting.
And then just redub them.
Yeah, that's funny. And then he would put in, of course, later on a sound of wind all the time. I'm not sure what that was about, but. It's funny because I grew up in Queens, in New York City, the child of two artists who themselves grew up in New Jersey. Neither one of them cinephiles, but for some reason they went to art school. They met in art school. They moved to New York, and they I was born, and they loved Italian cinema. Like they loved Italy. And my parents would go many, many times to Italy. In fact, they would go every summer and spend the summer. They have friends there, and they had a place they would rent out every year. But I grew up with Italian cinema all the time. They were crazy for Fellini and Rossellini and Antonioni and De Sica, of course, all of the titans, But I grew up with all that, always playing in the house. My father collected all the VHS tapes of all these movies, and he was really into them.
Oh, that's nice.
So I grew up with it. You didn't. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's the opposite. I was while you were watching Fellini, I was watching Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I did too, by the way, but I'm kind of talking more about my parents. I too discovered movies. I mean, I was a kid maybe already a young adult when those movies were coming out, and you were still a kid probably. But it's interesting. When I came as a young adult and I was discovering my own cinema on my own, it was in a way around the time of Jarmusch and Spike and that Allison Anders and Susan Seidelman and Hal Hartley, all these guys, and that was an enormous influence on me. That wave of American independent film, right. And it apparently had some sort of, or at least maybe the children of those filmmakers had the an impression on you. I look at My First Kiss and the people involved, and I would never, if you hadn't let me know the filmmaker, if I didn't know it was you, I would have just sworn this was an American filmmaker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely a big influence. Plus, most of the people involved in making it were from the States, or at least we had just gone through film school in the States, and we had just finished that, so I guess still a big influence.
Well, there's a sensibility though, and there's a sensibility a filmmaker brings to their work, and I wouldn't have been able to tell it was a European filmmaker, because it had this is part of a genre of what I would consider low budge, character driven filmmaking,
yeah.
which I guess maybe this came out of your years at Columbia, maybe.
Yes. No. Plus watching, I don't know, I guess what was I watching just in those times? I was watching a mix of things, but I guess it's a very sweet, it could be the very, very sweet child of some Harmony Korine viewings, in my mind at least.
Right. Yeah, it's a less brain damaged version and I say that with nothing but respect.
yeah, it's the best kind of brain damage.
Yeah.
I don't know, I actually, it's funny because I was listening to your podcast with yes, I was listening to your podcast with Ken Loach the other day.
I didn't have him on. That had to be somebody else's. Are you sure you don't mean Mike Lee?
I know you were talking to Mike Lee, of course. You were talking to Mike Lee.
Maybe it was Mike Lee, because we did talk about. I think we did talk about
but
Ken
you mentioned
Loach.
Ken Loach. Okay, right.
Yeah, we did.
I'm
pretty sure.
Yes, of course. Because he had done the historical movie recently. So anyway, apart from Mike Lee, I was thinking about Ken Loach. I was watching Kes actually quite a bit before. Yeah, and actually I was watching quite a bit of that. That was a reference for sure. What else was I watching in those days? I don't know, things, grainy stuff for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Did you shoot on film?
No, we shot on mini DV.
You just went... Right, okay.
We shot on mini DV. We had done some tests to shoot in a more, in a way that was cleaner and with more up-to-date cameras, let's say. But then the DP and I, Giacomo Belletti is the DP, and we've done quite a few projects, and we often use let's say alternative cameras or older cameras, that kind of thing. And,
yes.
And we have fun with all the grain and with all the artifacts and that kind of thing. So
right. Yes, it definitely feels like it's a reference point too. Yeah. Do you know Nathan Silver? Do you know his films?
And tell me a few titles.
Exit Elena. What else? He did Soft at the Head, Uncertain Terms. More recently,
Uncertain Terms.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Uncertain Terms, but actually our main actor.
Yes, she's worked with him. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I haven't seen them yet.
I met them. Is that how I'm supposed to say? Pretty sure through Nathan or something. I mean, your main actor goes by the name Bobbi, or at least was, correct?
Yes.
While you were filming.
Bobbi. When we were filming, they went by India and.
Right.
But yeah, no, and that's probably what they're credited as in Nathan Silver's movie.
Yes, and now Bobbi Salvör Menuez.
Yes. They're great. It was great working with them. It was when they entered the room, we knew, okay, that's
really.
Yeah.
Was that somebody connected you with Bobbi, or
we were doing kind of regular auditions. Kate Murray was the casting director. She's the
yes.
She's the, let's say, senior casting director at the Public Theatre.
Okay.
And she was great. She brought in a lot of really interesting people because of the roles and the way we wanted to shoot it. we needed people who were, who had something peculiar about them, something.
Yes, almost otherworldly in a way.
Yeah, and for all of the characters really. And when Bobbi came in, we just felt that they had a really interesting energy for the role. And in fact, a lot of the choices that we allowed ourselves to make later on, like going into a more fairy tale direction and really going for this kind of fable, we knew that we could do that also because Bobbi was on board, bringing on that kind of fairy tale-ish energy that they have, and that it's obvious as soon as you look at them.
And what was their approach, their style? Does Bobbi, are they interactive on the set? Are they social, collaborative?
Yes, very. Bobbi, very, very collaborative, very, very smart person.
Okay.
Very, very intuitive. Not a trained actor or someone who will do Shakespeare as it's done. But specifically for this kind of role, they inhabited it completely, and they knew better than I did what the character was about. So I was there just to kind of direct what moment of the movie we were at, emotionally maybe, or how much to be closed in themselves or more outwardly. But apart from that, they had a very, very good sense of who the character was and how to go about it. And the only let's say director trick that I did was that we shot the film upstate in this beautiful farmhouse, and we were all staying at this motel 15-20 minutes away, and Bobbi was the only one who was staying at the farmhouse, who was sleeping at the farmhouse, so they could isolate.
That was intentional to create a certain frame of mind for the performance.
Yes.
Right. I see. So it's, for those listening, it is a group home. It's supposed to be a group home.
Yes, it's supposed to be a group home for adults who have a certain condition, which is never named, and we did that on purpose. And Bobbi plays one of the people who's living in this group home, and who's not only has a certain condition, but she's also struggling to fit into this group home, because she lives in a world that is quite cocooned, in a world that she's created that is quite cocooned, and she speaks a language of her own, made not of words but of gestures, and a certain relationship to the world around her that is not made of words and a regular language, but a more peculiar one, a more sensitive one.
It really is trying to provide a window into this character more than almost anything else. It's not quite as concerned with some big plot, it seems. Maybe you're
exactly. There's some plot in there, of course, and it
yes, there is,
and it veers into mystery, but everything serves the purpose of
right. One of the counselors goes missing.
Yes, but even the plot serves the purpose of giving the character named Sam, giving her something to react to, let's say. And so basically even the plot is a way of activating this character in a way that she's never done in her whole life. So yes, I'm definitely, as you know, because you've seen the film, I'm definitely more interested in being with her and seeing the world how she would see it, and in telling this adventure of hers in a way that is very close to her, and by the end of the film, I think you get the feeling that you've spoken her language for an hour and 20 minutes or so.
And the film went through the festival circuit in 2016 and 17. I think we probably missed each other. I was at the 2016 Woodstock Film Festival.
Oh, okay.
So we probably some reason or other, missed each other.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to have finally caught up with the film, and for our mutual friend to have put us together. That was nice. But we also played at the New Orleans Film Festival, which is a wonderful festival. And were you at the last Laugh Los Angeles Film Festival? Was that the last year?
I think it was the second to last year. So.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't my fault, let's say.
It was no. We can't blame you. We could still blame you, but and then Ashland, the Ashland Independent Film Festival, which I hear great things about. So New York, you haven't screened in New York yet?
Yeah, we played at a couple of. I think we played at the Brooklyn Film Festival, and we played at a nice series that they do in Alphabet City at a place called the Wild Project. They have this series called New York No Limits. It's like a gallery plus screening space. That's a nice one. And then just recently we released the film, and since we had liked that space, we did a release screening at that space. So that was our little New York closing the circle screening to finally release it. Because like you said, we did the festival circuit in 2016, and it took a while to get it out there, and I'm saying this with some pain in my heart, because it's kind of hard to get a movie with shot on mini DV with an almost silent lead to have distributors
be jumping champing at the bit for it's. I mean, it's hard enough even with a completely spoken word narrative type of approach, let alone a silent one, where dialogue is not the focus. It's true, but I'm sure. But you have to have great patience nowadays, and and hopefully your film finds the authentic path that it's supposed to be on.
Yeah.
But it's not without its frustrations and anxiety. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's it was I was just out of film school, and it was little did I know that I was about to enter a second film school, so to speak.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, it's interesting, right? Because I think you actually probably would have to attend endless film festivals and panels to really try to learn firsthand for what it's to get the more full picture in real time. Because things are changing also rather quickly. So even if a film school tries to prepare you for the real world, quote unquote, they're not out there usually. I mean, some people are. For instance, the chair, the film department chair at Columbia is Hillary Brocker, who's done this. I don't know if you know Hillary from your time at Columbia.
Yes, we've met. She wasn't one of my teachers, but we've met many times.
Yeah. Well, she has a film that's been on the film festival circuit this last year called South Mountain.
Okay.
It's a beautiful film. I encourage you to look out for it. And I also just had the lead actor or actress on. I haven't posted it yet. That's going up in the next couple of weeks. But, it's a case where I guess Hillary was probably re-educated, even.
Oh, really?
Well, because if you only put out one film every 10 years and you're teaching film, I mean, it's hard to know what's really going on in the film industry. You're a little bit, I don't know, you're isolated from that. But if you're out there trying to get a film distributed, that's what you just said. It's like another graduate degree or something.
It gets very, very realistic very fast.
And you have to make decisions that are kind of risky. You don't know.
Yeah. Luckily, it was. It was frustrating. I'm not going to hide it. To later spend such a long time without releasing it. But at the same time, we can consider ourselves lucky because we made a film that was so small and contained in a way, and everyone involved in it was so helpful and passionate, and they believed in making this little creature come alive. So we can consider ourselves lucky that we had the luxury to make something like that. Also because of everyone's effort and everyone jumping on board just to make it for the love of making something like that, which is kind of rare. Maybe I didn't know at the time how rare it was, but I can definitely appreciate it now.
Well, again, the name of the film is My First Kiss and the People Involved, and we've been speaking to the director, Luigi Campi, and it's available for streaming on Amazon Prime right now. So go check it out. Join Prime, go to Whole Foods, and then watch Luigi Campi's film. It's
turn down the lights.
You'll be glad. I recommend it strongly. I think it's a terrific film, and it's a slight 80 minutes for Pete's sake.
Yes, 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Is it? Does that mean you can watch it on Amazon too if you pay, or is it only available on Amazon Prime?
I think both. I think you can do both.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your patience and making this happen, and I look forward to your coming to New York, and maybe next time, or maybe I'll come to Rome. Who knows? And then
absolutely.
Or excuse me, Athens. Athens. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or Athens.
Thank you.
I've never been.
Oh, you've never been to Athens?
No, it's. I have to say, I've been through most of Europe, but not Greece, and I regret that.
Great country.
Maybe for love I'll come too. Maybe that'll be
fall in love. Come to Greece.
That's there you go. You could be the spokesperson for
the country,
for the country's travel board or what have you. Yeah. All right. Well, I look forward to meeting you.
Thank you for the time, and it was good to chat. And thanks for giving us this space on the podcast.
Oh, sure, my pleasure. Anytime. We'll do it again.
Okay, let's.
All right. Take care.
Take care, Adam. Thanks.